This is chapter 3, part 4. I'm continuing from part 4 from where we left off with this. I'm talking about functions. Functions are basically your program that breaks down smaller tasks to allow you to do simpler work with it. Think of function as a subroutine that you're breaking down smaller recipes to actually step-by-step recipes to accomplish a bigger task with it. All right. So other functions can actually all come together. They should fit in a complement with it. That's the key thing, is when you write functions, they need to be reusable. That's the benefit for the powerful for the functions with it. The predefined functions come with your header files, like for example IO stream, IO manip. These are CMath. These are the header files that already comes with the program with it. Think of when you buy a car, the car has some standard features: power windows, radio, CDs, or if they use CDs anymore. Things that are already pre-manufactured coming with your car. Same thing as your compiler. Okay, so when you come down and look at it, when you get predefined functions, the header files may contain several functions. You can have IO manip, IO stream. You can have multiple of these things. Some programs, such as a couple of thousand lines of code, could have as much as 20 to 30 types of header files with it as well. So again, you're going to get to know this very. There's a few of them that are listed in your book. I want to tell you what you need to know. Let's take a look at the first one. This one is the math function, the CMath. So if you had to include this, you would do pound include in brackets the less than or greater than sign and CMath. So that's that's going to be in addition to your IO stream. So for example, pow with a base of x exponential y. So this is anytime when you use this parameter 2 and 3 that you plug in there, this is the parameter that you have. The get function that you're going to use is, this includes in your character with it. Includes the white space, stores into the memory, indicated by the memory with it as well. So when you look at the syntax of the CN, remember now this comes with your IO stream. All right. So CN dot, the method, what I call this a method, it's a dot syntax, get var char, meaning get whatever character it is. All right, the var char is the char variable, or what's also known as the argument. Also, you also hear this called the parameter of the function. So anything that's in the parentheses, that's what that means. The ignore function is basically to discard. You're going to discard whatever portion of the input with it. The syntax to use is ignore. So again, the method, the dot syntax, cn dot ignore. So you're going to tell it to ignore an int expression of an integer expression to a ch. You're going to ignore a certain number until you get to a certain character. Okay. If the int expression is a value of m, the statement says ignore the next m character or all the character until the character is specified by the character expression. That's what that means. I'm going to do a demo with this thing with you so you can see what I mean by this. The next one, for example, let's take a look at this. The cn and the ignore function. So if you take this declaration of the int a, int b, integer a, integer b, and you input the strings of these inputs in here, think about this thing, in cn a, and then the next line is in the memories in a, and the next line says cn with the method ignore 100 until you get to the, remember what the ASCII is, \n, until you get to the next line. And then you read in C and B. So the first statement is going to store A into 25 into A. The second statement reads cn.ignore 100, meaning that discard all the remaining numbers in the first line, basically, 100 positions. The third statement reads in cnb, which stores as in 12. So it's going to read in the 25, ignore the next 100 position. Move to the next line is the \n, and then read in C and B. So you have A and as 25 and B as 12. Okay, so that's an example. Putback function puts the previous character extracted. So what you placed back previous character extracted from the get function, put it back into the stream. The peek function, meaning the last character you get, right? Remember the get? Okay. The peek function is what you pull back from your return the next character from the input stream. Do not remove the character from that stream. So you're just going to look ahead. Returns the next character from the input stream. Okay, so you don't remove any characters from that stream at all. So here's an example. Here's an example with this. If you use the iStream var put back, we're going to see an example in this. Puts the input and input stream variable in the cin, and the character is a variable. Here's what the syntax for a peek. So you're peeking ahead for this thing to look ahead peek method in the variable assigns it to ch with it. That's all you're doing. The dot notation between the input and output stream variable and input output. So this is what here's a get. Just a precaution. In the statement cin.get, you are getting the argument ch, cin, and get two separate identifiers separated by the dot. Okay? The dot separates the input stream variable from the number or function name. This is what's called the dot syntax, which is called the member access operator. This is very important because C++ is the same thing, does the same thing it does over in Java. It's a member. Once you become a member, we'll talk about this. This gets into a little more abstract discussion with it, but you're accessing the member as to get whatever the class it allows it to do with it. So, for instance, the cin is a particular class, blueprint, template, whatever you want to think about it. It allows you to do the get. Okay, that's what this is built in with it. Input failure, things can go wrong all the time with it. So if you can't read anything into the screen with it, let me stop right here.